Welcome, everybody, to Armchair Athletes. I'm Marino.
And I'm Ed.
What's going on, guys? Last time we talked about the
Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento Kings. Thank you. I forgot. Sacktown. We talked about Sacktown, the great purple team. Now we're going to be talking about the San Antonio Spurs, the White Walkers themselves. Is that what they're called? Right?
For the Game of Thrones, yes.
Yeah, White Walkers. The White Walkers, the soulless team of Greg Popovich and his Pandora's box that eats everyone's soul. I love it. I love San Antonio. I love the San Antonio is a small market. That's what I love about San Antonio. Quick tangent. San Antonio is a small market. Don't be fooled. But they represent themselves like a big market. Isn't that crazy? LA, New York, Orlando, those are big market teams. But San Antonio represents itself like a big market team, even though they're a small market team. Granted, they have no state income tax, but with all those chips, and you got the great pop, you got a great front office. They have a great they develop their young players. Great, it's great.
They have a big market culture in a small market.
Exactly, which is impossible to pull off. But San Antonio's been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah. And speaking of that, what happened last year? So the Spurs went 32-39, the 11th seed in the West, and that's the first time they have not made the playoffs in, I believe, 22 years.
Broke the streak. Last year was a I think what happened in 2018. I think what happened in 2018 was Greg Popovich was walking down the street and he accidentally walked under a ladder, and then as he was walking, he stepped on a crack, and then when he looked up from looking at the crack, he saw a black cat walk in front of him. And then he saw a 4-leaf clover burn in front of him. I think it just wasn't a lucky year for him. They don't have they're a modge podge of different players on this team. They don't have players that really fit together. They have DeMar DeRozan, who actually had a solid year last year. DeMar wasn't bad last year. Lamarcus Aldridge, he's all right. He gets paid a lot of money to not do what he used to do. DeJounte Murray I love DeJounte Murray. They have a lot of good players. Last year, they're in the beginning of the season, they're in the hunt for the playoffs, and then the closer the season got to the end, it wasn't anything. They weren't anything worth writing home about.
Yeah. All right, Reno, let's talk about what they did this offseason.
They didn't do much. In peak San Antonio fashion. They did not do much.
It's true.
It got Jakob Poeltl, Drew Eubanks, which they re-signed both of them. They were already there. They lost Brian Forbes and Marco Bellinelli. So last year's issue was San Antonio had a lot of really good guards, solid, decent guards who were youngish, and they didn't have many Patty Mills, who's old as dirt but still puts up numbers. Losing Brian Forbes isn't a big deal because they have the Skywalker and Lonnie Walker. Bellinelli is just an old man shooter. He doesn't help much team, so it's not a big issue. The biggest part of this, they re-signed Drew Eubanks and Jakob Poeltl. They really like those two guys at the center position. I like Jakob Poeltl. I want to see more from Drew. Jakob Poeltl is a defensive-minded big. He's a very, very, very traditional big. He scores back to the basket. He hustles on box outs and stuff like that. He's super traditional. He's perfect for San Antonio. Jakob Poeltl looks like what they were hoping Thiago Splitter would become. No one that's going to be anything crazy. No one that's going to dictate offense or a defense, but he's going to be a player that does all the dirty work, who will box out for all the rebounds, who will block some shots, screen. Thiago Splitter did that, but he was always injured, and he always, there's streaks where like his foot speed wasn't great. Jakob Poeltl is a decent defender in space, not a great one, but he has long arms, so he can close out. Yeah. So Drew Eubanks, I don't really know much about Drew. I didn't really see a lot of Drew Eubanks. I was like, oh, Drew. No, nothing.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about their draft pick this year. Devon Vasel if I pronounce that correctly. Hopefully, we're probably going to get grilled in the comments for it.
Vasel.
Devon is a 6'7", 194-pound wing from Florida State. Some strengths that I read while doing some research. Vasel is arguably the best and most athletic wing defender in this year's draft. He has a 6'10" wingspan, and that just helps obviously allow him to guard on the perimeter. And they're projecting him to really be able to guard 1 through 4 in the next level. So I'm interested to see how he will progress that way with Greg Pop and Timmy D, what he's got going on over there. And I'm really interested to see how they're going to progress him shooting forward. He can also shoot the ball really, really well and very efficiently as well. He shot 41.5% from deep last year while also shooting 6.5 overall, which that's not amazing. I mean, it's solid. I mean, over half your shots, but the 41.5% from three to me is really impressive. One of his biggest weaknesses is his ability to create off the dribble or just create a shot in general. He doesn't really get his shot very well, and he really needs to find his offensive game if he wants to make huge impact. NBA comps that I was reading was Kelly Oubre.
I like the Kelly Oubre. I don't know where his defensive prowess is. I didn't really get to watch a lot of him. I will say he was supposed to be taken a lot sooner than San Antonio was able to, but he obviously didn't. Him and Reese dropped down to 11th and 12th. I do know offensively he's solid. He's probably going to be a rotational player in his career. He's athletic enough to become more than that. He's athletic enough to become an all-star. But on the small, like little times I've ever seen him, I never saw an inch of ball handling ability, creating space for himself to get a shot off, or creating space to drive to the bucket. We'll see with him. I will say, don't sleep on him. Not because I love him, but because where he was drafted. He's a highly talented kid with a lot of upside, and he's in San Antonio, so I wouldn't sleep on him.
I think they're hoping he's the next Kawhi Leonard.
I doubt it. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I think that's what they're hoping.
I don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely going to be your typical 3-and-D guy. I mean, he can shoot lights out. He's going to be a catch and shoot guy.
He's going to be a Danny Green.
Yeah.
He's going to be a Danny Green. Now, San Antonio might do that thing where they make players better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at Boris Diaw. Danny Green. Boris Diaw, he was 400 pounds when in the NBA, and he was still playing really good minutes in the finals. So,
yeah. So, I mean, I think defensively he has very, very high, from what I read and saw some highlights, he has very high promise on the defensive end. He's just got to figure out something if he wants to really be a big-time player in the NBA. So let's talk about the rotation a little bit.
I like it. I don't like it. DeJounte Murray, he's a big guard. He is the best point guard defender in the NBA. He's 6'3", 6'4". Actually, I think he's 6'5". Uber athletic. He reminds me of Eric Bledsoe a few years back when he was in Phoenix or when he was with LA. But bigger. I like DeJounte Murray. I think he needs to work on his playmaking and his scoring, obviously, but defensively he has it locked down. So if you can get the offensive side of his game, he's going to be a really well-rounded point guard. I don't see him as an all-star per se, but maybe like a underrated guard like Mike Conley. I look at Derek White. He's a shooter. He'll shoot. He's really good at coming off a screen and doing like a 2-dribble move and getting for a shot or passing it up. DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, and Lamarcus Aldridge. So Rudy Gay's a little past his prime at the power forward spot. Lamarcus Aldridge, he's past his prime. He's still a serviceable player. I mean, he's still going to warrant defense because he's 6'10". He mastered the turnaround jump shot off off his left shoulder. He mastered that guy. DeMar DeRozan, I will say DeMar DeRozan had a really good, sneaky good year last year. He had solid shooting splits, and his defense got a lot better. He's taking a little bit more threes and making them, so that's great. I like their bench a lot in terms of youth. Patty Mills is old. I think Patty Mills after this, I think this is last year in his contract. After this, he's going to sign somewhere else. Lonnie Walker, I like the small bits we saw Lonnie Walker, and he's a very athletic, very gifted. Keldon Johnson, I think San Antonio likes Keldon Johnson. I'd never seen him play, so I couldn't tell you. Devon Vasel, we talked about him, and Jakob Poeltl, we talked about him. I think this team's about to start going young. I see all those old guys. I doubt they're going to do anything crazy. Their vibe, I'm sad to say this. I'm sad, but I think we better go buy the streamers and the balloons and the cake. And I think we better go all chip in for an edible arrangement of some soft fruit because Greg Popovich is pretty old, so I'm pretty sure he's wearing dentures. I think this is it. I think this is last year. I think it's gone. Tim Duncan's no longer in the coaching staff, but they have I can't remember her name, but there's a woman coach, and they have two assistant coaches that can be head coaches that were in head coaching interviews this past offseason with the Rockets and with the Pelicans and with the Pacers. I think this is it for Greg Pop. I think this is it for Lamarcus. I think this is his last year. I think this is it for Lamarcus. I think this is it Rudy Gay. I think DeMar DeRozan, he has a couple more years. I think he gets traded at the offseason. Orlando, maybe. Trying to think of another team. I don't really know many teams I would want DeMar. He's kind of a relic. He's a mid-range shooter. He doesn't shoot the three often and as well as he would like a first option offensive player. He's not a lockdown defender anymore. I think they're going to start going young. Jakob, Devin, DeJounte, Keldon, Derek White, all these guys, I think they're going to start going young after this year. This is the last year of Greg Popovich, I'm calling it.
Yeah, I agree with you on the retirement. I could see them using these older guys kind of as mentors to their younger guys. Because if you think about it, I mean, Devon Vasel can really learn from Rudy Gay and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Jakob Poeltl can learn from Lamarcus Aldridge. Because all those guys have been, in the league forever. They've always been really good NBA players. If this was like 5 years ago, this team would have one of the best starting lineups. Maybe even 8 years ago. Have one of the best starting lineups in the league. But I agree. I think they're definitely transitioning to be a younger team, and I'll definitely think we'll be seeing that in their play style. I think it's not going to be. I don't think the starters are going to have a ton of minutes other than like the top two, the guards. But other than that, I think there's going to be a huge rotation of guys in and out, just trying to figure out what the future holds for this team. Yeah.
I think DeMar is going to have a good season. DeMar is not old. He's like 31, 32. He's not old. And he has a game that is not predicated on athleticism. Granted, he could still hop over me.
I think I can hop over you.
Well, I mean, I am Ant-Man, but his game is predicated on footwork. DeMar works a lot of back to the basket, trying to work on his guard back to the basket because actually DeMar DeRozan's the big two guard who plays three right now, because they have a lot of guards on that team. But I like DeMar DeRozan this season. I think I'll put up great numbers. I just don't. This team's going to be now. This isn't going to be they're going to compete every game. They're just not going to win a lot of games, and it's just not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Well, it might be pretty because it's San Antonio.
That's true. Ball movement.
They're the New England Patriots of the NBA.
The kings of ball movement. Hold up. Quick tangent. In every sport, at least every sport I'm aware of, and I only keep up with a couple of them, there's always some old white dude who's just great at coaching. Let me go through three of them. Greg Popovich in basketball. Old white dude. great at coaching. Everyone loves him. I love him. Bill Belichick. Great coaching. Most people love him. Not everybody. There's some people that don't like him. Nick Saban, who right now is playing Florida. I don't know if they beat Florida.
Oh, yeah. No, they were up by a touchdown before we started recording today.
Oh, okay. Because last time I checked, it was 35-31 in the third or in the beginning of the fourth. Yeah, Nick Saban's also great. There's just something in the water for those type of coaches, the once in a generation coaches. Pop is, my opinion, the first or second best coach of all time.
I agree.
Behind Phil.
Yeah. And even then.
I mean, Phil has 8.
Phil had Michael.
No, Phil has more than 8.
He has 11, my guy.
He has 11. Yeah, I'm a dummy. Phil has 11. Not just.
He also had Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Shaq.
And people don't care about the context.
I don't know why I said LeBron.
Numbers.
Forget the LeBron part.
He didn't have LeBron. People don't care about context. This is when it comes to history. People don't care about context. When they look at LeBron going to 9 finals, is it 9 finals now?
Yeah,
they don't look at them having to play the Warriors, and that's why they lost. They just look at him. He only won.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
4 chips.
We're getting off on a little bit of a tangent. Back to San Antonio. So we kind of talked a little bit about it. Think this team, I don't think they're going to win a ton of games, but I think they're going to compete every night. I think they're going to play typical San Antonio basketball. It's hard to see them getting any less than like 30 wins. So above 30 wins, that's kind of where I'm putting them.
I think they don't make any trades. I don't see any trades happening. I don't see any trades happening next year either. I think they start managing and prospecting which coach to take Pop's spot at the end of this season or at the farthest end of next season. And they just start getting ready for what comes next. Post Kawhi, post Tim, post Ginobili, post Parker, all those boys.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us tonight. We hope that you enjoyed our coverage of San Antonio and the rest of the teams that we've covered. If you've not seen those, go ahead and check them out. We'd really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, again, what you see, give us a like, comment, subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
We'd love it. All right, Reno, take us out.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to watch the Armchair Athletes. I'm the short king himself, Reno.
And I'm Ed.
And this is us. Tune in for next time. We're going to be talking about the team that will be hosting the greatest game of all time. LeVar Ball versus Michael Jordan.
All right, guys.
Great time.
See you next time.
Peace.